Today I want to tell you about 24 practical tips that I've learned in 2024 about personal development, investing, and entrepreneurship. Hi, I'm Alan. I'm a developer trying to build my own products, an angel investor with a portfolio of over 30 startups, and a content creator trying to document my journey and sharing all of the lessons that I'm learning along the way while building my wealth. The disclaimer here is that some of those lessons I've known for a long time and they are not new. But this is the first year that I've actually got to experience them and to see what they really mean. Tip number 1. If you didn't start with money, you need to be resourceful and you need to hack your way to success in everything that you do. I didn't start with money, but I still managed to become an investor through taking advantage of lesser known opportunities, such as learning to work in a domain that no one knew about at that time, which was RPA. That decision and a few other smaller ones enabled me to speedrun my way to the top of the career ladder. And with a high enough income and saving over 70% of it, I managed to hack my way into becoming one of the top angel investors in my country. Lesson number 2. If you start a business, you have to choose between two paths, especially in the tech space. The first one is the high intensity, high risk startup one, and the second one is a lifestyle business. It's mostly a choice between high risk, high reward or lower risk but slower growth. I personally prefer the lifestyle business model for myself. I like working with a few high-paying clients, having a smaller, close-knit team, and also less stress. Both ways have the same chance to lead you to millions of dollars in the current times. It all depends on your execution and what works for you. Tip number 3. Put yourself out into the world. Your personal brand is the leverage that you need in order to be able to charge much more money or to be able to get access to many more opportunities. It's the difference between a cold lead that doesn't know about you or what you offer and the hot lead that wants to work specifically with you. This year, since I've started taking content creation seriously, has been my best financial year so far, and also I've been offered more opportunities than ever. On the business side, clients found me easier and I've been able to negotiate much higher rates than normal. I've also been invited to a lot of events for free for networking purposes, but I didn't go to those, but I got instead a lot of feedback on what I'm creating. Meanwhile, on a personal level, I've been invited to a podcast, to write an article at a publication as a guest author, and also to speak at an event for investors about my personal journey, which has helped me increase my exposure a lot. So just put yourself out there and let the opportunities find you. The fourth one on the list is that things will never go exactly as you planned them, and it's better to be reactive about anything that happens that's outside of your control. Trying to plan for every single possible outcome is too much, and you'll get lost in planning without making any progress at all. You need to be able to adapt, survive, and thrive. I believe I've lost around $10,000 just this year because I tried to do something like move to a new apartment and then something else came up and I had to throw that plan out of the window after I paid my rent and the warranty. So I guess here's a bonus tip: don't pay for stuff unless you can afford to lose it in case something happens. Luckily, I could afford to lose this one. The fifth one, you can change the direction of your life at any point, and that's okay. 2 years ago, I wouldn't have expected that I would be here today creating videos. Your goals can also change over time, which can affect your direction as well, and that's also okay. At the beginning of this year, I set a goal for myself to launch one product each quarter in order to find something that works and I could monetize. And I really believed at that time that it would be one of my games that would pop. To my surprise instead, the second product that I've built this year, which is called Hotei and is a tool for content creators, has a lot of potential. And I know that because I managed to sell it to my clients before I even built it. That's why I've decided to change my direction and I've been more focused on Hotei rather than launching those 4 products. I still plan to launch the remaining 2 products, but it's more of a secondary goal. The sixth tip is that most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. This is the first year when I can finally say that I can see some concrete results for the hard work that I've been doing for the past 3.5 years investing into startups. Up until now, it's only been a constant stream of doubt, especially after the first year, despite knowing that most angel investments take 5 to 7 years to reach an exit. Most of my investments are growing despite the current economic situation. I've also had the chance to sell some of them through secondary markets at 2 to 3 times the initial invested amount. and I'm also expecting one of them to reach an IPO in the near future. I've already gotten to the point where I can expect that some of them will become big hits, and I'm accelerating my investment journey, so I can't even comprehend what will happen in 10 years. For number 7, we are all our own worst critics. It's not your family, it's not your friends, it's you. So try stuff, even if the result will be shit. Number 8, I believe. I've lost count. Let me check. Number 8, you can do it alone. This is the first year that I've been to a country alone, without friends or anyone else. Actually 2 countries, France and Spain. And it's been awesome. And I actually want to do that more in the coming year. I've also started going to restaurants and coffee shops alone in order to work from there and focus. There's just something about the ambient sound of that place that makes it easier to get into the zone, at least for me. Number 9. Hot damn, this is a long list. Guard your peace so you can focus on what matters the most. You have to choose your battles. You can't focus and do everything, everywhere, anytime for anyone, or you will get burned out. You should turn down the noise that distracts you from your goals, even if people get mad. I guess it's also about being more selfish. I've had some people that got mad at me in this year because I decided to prioritize myself, but there's nothing we can do about that, because I'm more happy. Number 10 is about building your own opportunities, not just chasing after them. And I think this is extremely important, taking into account the current situation with the job market. If you can't find a job, find work instead. Become a freelancer. And I'm telling you that as a freelancer. If you're not offered exposure, go post content yourself, and so on. I've been so eager to move to a different country for a while now, but I thought that I shouldn't do that without a good opportunity. Now I've decided to build my own opportunity in that country instead. For number 11, we have that unlearning bad habits is as important, if not even more important, than learning new ones. Part of the feedback that I got on my past content was that it was too robotic. The reason for that is that while working in consulting and with lots of corporations, you learn to be quite not numb, but neutral in your expressions. It's a bit hard to explain if you don't know what I'm talking about, but you're kind of expected not to overreact or show emotions that could imply certain things. In a way, you're kind of expected to play a role if you want to be good in this domain. It's not always a happy role though. It's more like a lack of emotion. And that eventually becomes part of you. So I've had to unlearn that if I wanted to improve my content. And it's not easy. I'm still working on it, but I believe it's way better than when I started. That also applies to bad perceptions about certain aspects or even trauma in serious cases. So think about if you have anything that you need to unlearn in your case. For number 12, ending the first half of the list, we have that some people work better if they know how a system works. I'm one of those people. Since I've decided to try a bunch of new stuff, I've seen how much I suck at things that I don't understand how the system behind them works. For example, in the content game, it's extremely hard to understand how the algorithm works for different platforms, but I feel that I'm getting better with every new thing that I manage to try out. I know that there are people like me and people that don't work in this way, but if you relate, know that if you want to try something new, you will have to understand it from the roots. The next lesson, number 13, is to trust the gut feeling more. If something doesn't seem right, even after starting, it's probably not a good idea. I always believed that I know myself and I know what I like. And I've been told that I'm good at determining early if something is for me or if it's not. But I didn't always listen to that feeling. And I should have. I've previously tried to scale my freelancing business into an outsourcing agency. But after I started, something didn't feel quite right. Since I didn't know what it was and it wasn't anxiety or anything similar, I just ignored it. I've managed to progress with the agency quite a bit. But after that, I gave up on the idea because I realized that I didn't like it and it wasn't for me. And also it was stressing me out a lot. After a couple of similar situations that happened in this year, I finally realized that back then it was my gut feeling telling me that it's not for me and that I should have stopped. And if I did that, it would have saved me a lot of time. Building on top of the story from the last lesson, trusting your gut feeling, we have number 14, which is to avoid giving 10 out of 10 effort on a 2 out of 10 opportunity. Of course, this was also said by Alex Hormozi, but I've got to experience it for myself in this year. Some opportunities are good, others are not. So avoid giving it your all on the bad ones. In the agency example from last time, there are three key players: the client, your employees, and the company. And someone will always end up on the losing side. Whether it's the client paying too much, your employees getting paid too little, or the company losing money. After realizing that, I decided that it's not for me, and I enjoy building products instead, which don't have the same downside. Number 15 is to never stop doing things. Always find something to work on and you won't get bored. Some of my friends would say, do it for the story, the one that you will tell your grandkids. I believe that if you have a dream to chase, you can't really be bored. Or maybe that's just me, but ever since I started working more towards my goals in this year, I haven't really been bored. I like the idea to go and try to leave my mark on the world. And I will do just that. Hopefully you decide to do it as well. Number 16 is that if you're working towards something, life will always find a way to get you back on your path. A lot of things happened to me in this year, some good ones and some bad ones. But whenever something seemed like it would derail me from what I was trying to achieve, it eventually sorted itself out. This one is more abstract, but it's simple and good to know. The lesson at number 17 is that you can change the hand that you've been dealt, but you can change how you will play it. I've had to stop a couple of times in this year to reflect back on how far I've managed to come, from having to pay my tuition for college to investing in over 30 startups. I could have been in a completely other place if I made different choices, but I believe that I've managed to play my hand quite well. If you want a more practical tip from this lesson is to reflect back on the things that you've managed to do so far. And also, don't hate your starting point. Number 18 is that you need to adapt in any circumstance. This is similar to number 4, but not the same. One of the most common aspects that I can find among the top performing companies that I'm looking at is that they are able to adapt to anything fast. Those companies had a strategy to change to ensure that they will perform better for however the market will look like in 2024 and beyond. That shows the importance of being able to adjust quickly, and I'm trying to apply the same strategy for my products. We're up to 19 now, and it's about getting as much feedback as possible. Maybe this should have been higher on the list because it's especially important if you're doing something creative, but it's helpful for anyone doing anything. This year I've asked more feedback than ever, and it's been amazing for my products, services, content, and for myself. It's just like getting a second opinion for a diagnostic. It's good to have it even if the conclusion is the same. Just as another example, I've had someone reach out to me recently about an investment saying they've been building a product for the past 2 years and now they are ready to launch. Without taking into account the product, that on its own is a red flag for me because it shows that you've wasted 2 years of resources without any results or even knowing that the product is wanted at all by your customers. It's always better to release an unfinished product and see what people think about it. Number 20 is to do more side quests. Focusing on one goal for too long can make you less effective when you're working towards it. At one point in this year, I've worked so much on one single project for a couple of weeks that I just couldn't work on it anymore. I wasn't productive at all. That's when I decided to try something new for a nice change of pace. And when I came back, I was so much more productive. At the moment, besides creating content and building my products, I'm also trying to learn music production as a side quest. I'm not hoping for anything to come out of it, but it's nice and relaxing, and when I come back to my main goals, I'm way more productive. Number 21 is that you never know where an opportunity can come from, and it might even be from your past. This year has been like a throwback for me. I've had some past clients reach out again with new requirements, and they were more than happy to pay my new rates just because they've enjoyed our past collaboration. So in essence, it pays off to be nice and to try to leave a door open wherever you're going. And also to keep in touch. So check in now and then with your past clients and you might even get some opportunities through that simple action. This is also what has helped me to renew most of my contracts for the upcoming year or to get new clients from referrals. Number 22 is to don't give up on what you're working on right before it gets good. There are months when nothing happens and there are days when everything changes, and I've made this mistake with LinkedIn recently. I've stopped posting on there as much for a month now because after a huge increase in followers, my engagement dropped and I had some bad numbers. But recently, after what I'm assuming was a new update for the application, a lot of my posts started to get a lot of attention again. And I'm sure that the effect would have been even greater if I would have continued to post. That's why I've decided to go back and post more on LinkedIn, especially taking advantage of the new Shorts videos tab, and I hopefully won't make the same mistake again in the future. Number 23 is my favorite one. It's that being an investor and having an investing mindset is much more than just deciding that you're going to invest. This year that has been much more obvious for me because I've had a much bigger income, but still my number one priority for that excess amount was still investing. At any point during this year, my first thought was always in what should I invest next. And at this point, I'm pretty sure that investing has become a lifestyle for me, maybe even a part of my personality. That's what I believe makes the difference between someone that's a casual investor or someone that's serious about it and will eventually succeed. We're finally at number 24, and it was for sure a long list, but I'm sure that it had a lot of value for anyone watching. This last tip is to stop and celebrate your small wins, because you're doing an amazing job and you will eventually succeed. Cheers!